In this video we're going to show how we installed an LG microwave over the range with a roof venting setup. We replaced the microwave you see in the image here with this model, but this will give you a good idea of kind of the process and show how not so great the instruction manual is, but will give you a decent idea of what you need to do when doing this type of installation. For the model number, look in the description, as well as just watch the video. Here is the space with the old machine removed. You can see the gray box in the cabinet above. That is the vent where it goes up and then directly out to the wall behind. So it's a really short ventilation run, but you'll get an idea of what some of the things we had to do to get this space set up for the installation of the LG machine. Here's where we got the center line. So we measured the distance from cabinet side to cabinet side, marked the halfway point. At this point I drove a little nail into the drywall and hung a string with a washer tied so I can get a nice vertical line of the middle point. At that point I drew a line on the drywall and then even added a little blue piece of tape on the backsplash to give me an idea of the middle point. You'll see that's important later on when we take the templates that came with the machine. In this picture you'll see the template taped to the wall. You see the blue tape on the left side of the blue tape at the bottom of the screen. That is the center line. So you match that up with the dashed line right there that has a little C and L. That aligns the template to the correct spot in the space between the wall. I did have to cut out along the dotted line on the outside of this paper, so when you get this paper you unfold it in the directions that you'll see at the top left of the template. It'll guide you to cut the dotted lines out. So cut the dotted lines out, lay it up against the wall, align the center line, and then get some tape. I use blue painter's tape to tape the four corners of the template and laid that all out. At that point you start to get the places where you should be drilling your holes to mount the bracket along the bottom. So for the bottom mounting bracket you are required to put at least 2 mounting spots with a toggle, and then at least one minimum in a stud with the bolt. So what I have marked here with A, I just took the screwdriver and kind of pushed it through the paper to make my mark for A. That's where I'm going to put one of the 2 toggle bolts in. And you won't see it off to the right, but on the far right there's a marker where it's designated with a B. I did the same thing there, and then this is a spot where I drove some nails. You see the 2 X's in the middle of the screen with the 3 little dots. I drove some nails into the drywall to kind of see where the drywall or the stud was. My stud finder, I couldn't find it, so I just kind of poked some nails in there, and all 3 of those dots that don't have an X are good spots, but I picked the one in the middle. And then as you see I drew this arrow pointing downward with a pencil. That's the closest hole in alignment with that stud that's running vertical. So you see at this point I pushed the screwdriver into that hole, and that hole marked where I was going to put the lag screw. So again, 2 toggle bolts and then 1 lag screw. That's the minimum requirements for mounting the bottom rail. So that's how I did that. Realized I didn't get a picture of this, so I just took a similar picture online from someone else's website or something. But basically the bracket looks like this. Once you have the 3 spots, then you remove the paper and go ahead and make your drill, drill in your holes. Definitely level check it to make sure you're good. Next we work on the top template to decide where to drill the top holes. So the ceiling template for drilling the holes in the top part is on the other side of the paper. So you flip the paper over, and what I had to do was I had to trim a tiny bit from the top of the paper and the bottom of the paper, you'll see this arrow where it says rear wall on the left. That arrow needs to butt up against the wall, and you'll see it in the next picture. It'll make more sense. But because I did have a roof vented ductwork, I had to cut out shape L. So again, here you just see me starting kind of the cutting point. I did not cut the non-recessed upper cabinet portion that you see on the top, as my space was not larger than 3/4 of an inch, but I did have a 3/4 of an inch gap. If I had more than that, they recommended to cut a little bit larger, but ultimately I decided to just check and see how my roof ventilation looked like compared to the hole that it asked me to cut out for the shape L. So you'll see the next picture and it'll make a little bit more sense. Okay, so here's the template taped up above, and you can see the space L that is cut out in the middle of the screen. I had to cut a little bit on the left and right of the paper to get it to fit in the space. And again, that's fine and normal. And then the important thing, you see right under the big bold words upper cabinet template, you see the word center line. What's important here is that dash line is vertical. You want to align that with your center line on the wall below. So as you see that pencil mark line that I have that's vertical, you'll see that it lines up with the center line. You want to make sure that the template up above, the upper cabinet template, is aligned with where your lower cabinet template was aligned. So that's really important. So at this point, what I'm doing here is taping the upper cabinet to kind of get an idea of where I need to cut my hole for the plug. So you see where it says the big letter M. I'm supposed to cut a hole right to the bottom left of the M, a 2-inch hole. I ended up cutting 1.5 inches because that was the size of the bit I had, and that ended up working. You can see to the right of that the existing hole from the previous microwave. It probably would have worked, but I didn't mind cutting another hole, who cares. And then in J and K were where I needed to cut for the screws that hold up the microwave. So again, the bracket down below, which is just out of the picture, that supports the weight of the microwave, but then also J and K supports the microwave as well. So those are kind of the 3 main mounting points. So cut out the hole in M, and then also double check and look at how my roof ventilation system is set up. So as you can see, the L space that I already cut out, you can refer to in the previous image, that is the space for the ductwork. You'll see that my ductwork is narrower than that. So what I had to do was do a little exploring, and you'll see that in a future picture. I started cutting the ductwork from above and actually found out that it was pretty similar to the template. So I ended up not having to cut any wood in my cabinet to make it work, but you'll see that here in the next image. Here you can see I took a Sharpie marker and started kind of drawing up on the hole. I thought I was going to have to cut out a little bit in the back where all those little X's are on the metallic tape, but I ended up not having to after doing a test fitment with the microwave. I was thinking it was maybe going to come a little too far out, and it was going to hit the exposed vent that pops up out of the microwave, but it didn't. And I also thought I might have to come wider as well. As you see on the far right, kind of by the letter B, I have a vertical line that I drew with a Sharpie. I was thinking I might have to go that far, but ultimately when I did a test fitment of the microwave, I saw that the vent has a swinging flap. When you turn on the vent, the flap would lift up unobstructed from up above. So at this point what you see is I've ripped off the box that was taped. You can kind of see the hole going out to the outside of the house. And I'm again just kind of testing to see, how much, if I have to do any type of cutting in the wood. Luckily I didn't have to. Here we have my wife's hand. She's helping me lift it up to do a test fitment. Again, the kind of chrome stainless steel piece in the back is the extended ductwork with the flap that blows when you turn on the vent. Needed to make sure that fit through the hole and that nothing was obstructed. Added some lines in this image. So the red lines are basically the edges of that extended microwave piece. You just need to make sure that that was going to fit through, and that also would fit through depth-wise. The green line is kind of showing you the height. So again, this sticks up an inch or so, maybe above the microwave. So that's why it's important that you have space for it to fit through. Again, you might need to cut some of the cabinet. If you're doing it for the first time and it's never been installed in that area, you'll definitely have to do that. But hopefully the microwave, if you're replacing one that was roof vented, hopefully it's already to the size and you don't have to cut anymore, as was my case. This is just a angle from up high with the microwave back down on the table. You'll see the box that I've removed, and again you can see the hole going out to the stucco with a little screen blocking, so things can't get inside. Again, I replaced most of this metallic tape and retaped the box, but just wanted to kind of show this angle from up high. Here is a picture with the microwave installed, but without the ductwork being taped back together. So you can see kind of that piece from side to side. It fits. It's really snug up against the back wall. Again, I thought I was going to have to cut a little bit where those X's are, the black X. You can kind of see one on the right. Luckily, I didn't end up having to cut any of that wood right there. But as you can see, everything fits right there. So at this point, it's just a matter of lowering the microwave back down and then kind of retaping the box and the space so there aren't any leaks. You want to be able to make sure that when that flap opens, the air pushes right out through the box and out that circular hole you see in the top left of the screen. Here's a clip of the 4 speeds of the ventilation system. Kind of patched up the box and started to tape it a little bit up against the wall. At this point I'll run some more tape along the side so it's nice and secure, and then I'll start taping up the bottom part so there aren't any gaps for air to go through. And here it is after I've taped all around it. This is from above and below. Okay, I want to jump back a picture or two and show you. So this is as it relates to drilling the holes from the template. So these are where you see the 2 red arrows. Those are spots where the upper template told me to drill. So I ended up drilling the holes there. You'll see the orange X's. That's where the previous microwave was installed. And then you'll see the red circle. That's again where the 2-inch cutout for the outlet plug is supposed to be. What's important to note is the far right red arrow. You'll see that there is a piece of wood, an extra piece of wood where that hole is drilled through. That is good. What you don't want is on the left where you have your hole and you have a gap. So what I ended up having to do was steal some 3/4 inch wood from one side, which you'll see in the video coming up here. Okay, just finishing up the install. Got the ductwork all taped. It's looking good. Now what I did is I stole some wood off the back of this piece. One of the instructions when you install these is you don't want a gap in between this and the machine. You want to have wood in between. And because I have wood here, I'm good because that's the screw. But I don't have wood over here, so I stole off a piece that was right there. And I put it here and then got a little marker, colored it, and so now I'm going to drill the hole and that'll go up there. So okay, in this picture you'll see the screw. I actually added a washer from my previous machine. I didn't like how small the head was. Felt adding a washer would just add some creased in structural rigidity. But you can kind of see through the bigger hole from the previous install, you can kind of see that wood that I just added. So again, this is on the left side where I had a gap in between the cabinet and the top of the microwave, a 3/4 inch gap. So it's just to show kind of the screw driving through that little piece that I had cut out from the other side. So there's a nice, secure, consistent wood from the washer all the way down into the microwave where the screw, the 3 or 4 inch screw, goes into. And here's the last image of the upper cabinet area. I screwed in with a black screw. You see the little wire guide in the back right corner of the cabinet, kind of pushing and holding the wire back. We will use this cabinet for some random storage that we don't get into often. And then you can see the microwave kind of peeking out at the very bottom of the frame on the bottom right. Next shot will be the finished install. And here's a picture of everything after it's been cleaned up and shut. Um, Overall, project turned out really well. It was a little bit pain in the butt. Felt the instructions were pretty vague. I did not see any videos on YouTube showing really how to use the templates. So again, that was kind of the purpose for creating this video, was to show you how I used it. Hopefully it's beneficial. Maybe if you're going through the install and you're not exactly sure how to use those, this video will be helpful, at least as it relates to a roof vented installation. But either way, good luck. Feel free to reach out with any questions you have in the comment section. And thanks for dropping on by.